expenses in your life does not even appear on your bank statement? What if you are paying it every morning when you wake up? Mhm. What if you are rehearsing and talking and replaying that betrayal every day? Every time you rehearse that conversation that didn't go right, every time that you imagine what you should have said, every time that somebody's name enters your mind and your entire emotions change. I mean, have you been there? I have been there. It's like your whole energy is being drained. Your emotions just go all over. You are paying what I call the resentment tax. You are paying the resentment tax. And guess what? Some of us are even not just paying the tax, we are paying compounded interest on this tax. We are actually taking it to the next level. You are paying compounded interest every time. And guess what? Um, you may think you are holding onto somebody, or you are holding onto something that somebody actually did to you. But guess what? What if, economically speaking, what happened to you is now holding on the resources that belong to your future? Your attention, your creativity, your emotional energy, your decision making capacity, your peace. Think about it. Your ability to trust again, your ability to move and live in peace, your ability to trust wisely. And guess what? Today, I want to make a provocative argument. If you're joining us live on any of our platforms, this is the Firelight. We are here on the Firelight Awakening, our Firelight Advantage show, and I am Dr. Vivian Atud. And today I am talking about the economics of forgiveness. The economics of forgiveness. Forgiveness might not really be one of the highest and in my view, and let me rephrase this, forgiveness may be one of the highest returns on investment that you will ever make. One of the highest that you will get returns, not merely spiritually, because I mean, I speak from a faith perspective on all my platforms, not merely relationally, um strategically. You're welcome again to the Firelight Advantage. If you're joining us live, put some fires in the chat. Please share the room, invite others to join us live here on the Firelight community, where we ignite some fires, where we believe that the fires that were meant to stop you are the same fires that are going to forge you into your very destiny. So today, let's talk about cognitive audit of resentment. Let's start by looking at the cognitive audit of resentment. Think about your brain like an operating system. So you want to start by imagining 5 applications running in the background of your brain computer. Remember, we already said, look at your brain like an operating system. 5 applications running in the background of a computer. Guess what? You can't see them. When you switch on your laptop, switch on your computer, and there are lots of applications running in the background, you cannot see them. But guess what? You can see how your battery is running and draining faster. Guess what? You can see sometimes, because of the many number of applications or tabs open on your thing, you can see the battery drains and go down faster. You can see the battery going down faster. And guess what? And suddenly, the task that should have taken a few minutes might now take 30, might even take an hour. That is what unresolved resentment can become. A background application. And guess what? Psychologists use the term like they say, remuneration, psychology says, that is remuneration to describe the repetitive thinking about distressing experiences. It's like you're paying something. Guess what? You are replaying that experience. You are analyzing that experience. You are reconstructing it. You even prosecute the case again and again and again and again. And guess what? There is a problem. Your brain cannot invest the same unit of attention in yesterday and tomorrow at the same time. Your brain needs to invest in one. And guess what? If you have already chosen to invest in yesterday, so you need to conduct an audit and ask yourself, how many hours of cognitive bandwidth have I invested in something that I cannot change? Guess what? That is not just emotional pain. In economics, we call it, that is opportunity cost. Economics 101, they say the opportunity cost of anything is what? Is the alternative for God. What your energy should have been doing, you forgo it by taking your energy and investing it in something that you cannot change. Just pause and imagine an executive that spends hours in the office, spend hours reviewing a failed investment, maybe from 3 years ago, 5 years ago. And guess what? Instead of looking ahead and saying, what are the opportunities? What are the opportunities? Guess what? Eventually, you will close that file, yet emotionally. Many of us today, we have open files. I want you to begin to think about your open files. Many of us have open files, maybe from 10 years ago, from 5 years ago, from 2 years ago, even from yesterday. Somebody disappointed you. Somebody betrayed you. Somebody walked away from you. Yeah, we see this every day. We experience this every day. Somebody did not recognize you the way you wanted to be recognized. Somebody took credit for the things that you did. You put in your sweat. Imagine you are working in a community and you are putting in your sweat, even in an organization. You are the brain behind this, and you sit in a meeting and you see someone else is taking credit. It's painful, really. It is painful to see that. But the question is, are you going to rely? Are you going to continue to pay? Are you going to continue to pay for that instead of looking forward? Somebody lied. Yes, people lie every day. I mean, that event lasted maybe minutes, maybe for an hour, but you have been financing it for years, replaying it for years. I mean, that must be quite expensive. That must be quite expensive. And I want us, as we begin to look back into our minds, I want you to begin to picture, is there anything that I am paying, any cost that I am actually paying now because of for unforgiveness that is holding me back, that is costing me the opportunities that are ahead of me? I mean, I want us to look at, remember today we are looking at the economics of forgiveness. And the next perspective, I want us to look at forgiveness as risk management. Risk management. We are looking at this from a business perspective. Let's look at, and for me, this is where you want to redefine forgiveness. And forgiveness does not mean you pretend that something was acceptable. No. It wasn't acceptable for him to lie on you. It wasn't acceptable for them to do the things they did. It wasn't acceptable for them to take credit for the things you did. Nothing that they did to you that really hurt you was acceptable. But guess what? It does not mean abandoning boundaries. It does not mean restoring access to someone who has demonstrated that, guess what? They cannot steward that access responsibly. And forgiveness does not eliminate accountability. It does not eliminate accountability. So I want to set the record straight. It's not about the thing didn't hurt you. It's not about, oh, now I should just leave my boundaries loose because I've forgiven these people. No, forgiveness means that I refuse to allow yesterday's violation to maintain permanent access to my emotional capital. I refuse to allow yesterday's violation to maintain permanent access to my today's emotional capital. That's a different perspective. That's a different perspective. And guess what? In financial terms, sometimes you recognize that an asset is impaired. I mean, for my financial friends, you stop pretending that it's going to recover. No, you write it down. You write it down. You write down that asset. You close the transaction. And guess what? You redeploy your capital to other assets that are actually producing revenue, because that is exactly what you need to do. Some relationships need exactly that. You need to take off your capital from those relationships and redeploy them. Guess what? You are not denying the loss. Yeah, you've made the loss. You are not refusing to keep, but guess what? You are not denying the loss. You are not denying the pain. You are not denying anything that happened. But guess what? You refuse to keep allocating resources to debt investment, to debt relationships, to debt, whatever it is that has really hurt you. You refuse to put your money there. That is emotional what? Risk management. That is emotional risk management. And for me, there is another danger. Think about the sunk cost fallacy. Think about the sunk cost. I mean, we sometimes remain what? Emotionally attached to solutions. Guess what? Simply because we have already invested too much into them. I always say, cut your losses short. Choose to cut your losses short. Yeah, I mean, yes, I invested years. Yeah, you might have been in that relationship 18 years, 20 years, 30 years, whatever. Energy, reputation, money, love, sacrifice. But guess what? Past investment does not automatically justify future returns or even future investment. In investment world, we say that past investment will not justify future investment or future returns. And wisdom asks a different question. Where does my capital now deserve to be deployed? Where does my capital now deserve to be deployed? What can I put my capital in that will be productive emotionally, that will be productive in all areas of my life? So you need to think of forgiveness as risk management. The third thing I want us to focus on this day is you want to reclaim your emotional capital. Reclaim. I mean, think about it. Now imagine what happens when you kind of recover your bandwidth. Instead of asking, why did they do this to me? You want to ask, you want to start asking, what am I building next? Yeah, they did this to me. So be it. Nothing I can change the past, but what am I building next? Instead of spending your energy monitoring people who left you, you start serving the people who stayed. You start serving the people who are walking in through the door instead of proving something to your critics. Think about it. Leave them alone. You improve your product. You prove something to the people who are interested in buying what you are doing. You write a new book. You launch a new company. You develop a new skill. You strengthen your marriage. You mentor your children. You build your team. You protect your health. You focus on the future and not the past. I know this is not easy, but I can tell you, intentionally telling yourself, this is what I am going to do. I am going to look at forgiveness from this perspective, from an economic perspective, and I'm going to reduce my cost and I'm going to invest in the things that matter. You know, this is the economics of forgiveness. Forgiveness converts what? Trapped emotional capital into productive capacity. And here is for me the competitive advantage. This is the competitive advantage. While someone else is spending maybe 30% of their emotional bandwidth fighting yesterday, guess what? You can deploy that 30% into building your tomorrow. That's the forgiveness kind of investment. You don't become harder. You don't become harder. You become guess what? You become focused on where you are going, because guess what? Fewer things will be permitted to control you indefinitely if you don't give them access. I always say people hurt you because you give access to them. When you don't give them access, they cannot do you no evil. And guess what? Let's talk about leadership. Let's talk about leading yourself in seasons where you really need to forgive instead of being what? Reactive. You know, this is very, very important. This is very, very important. The subject of leadership. One of the most dangerous things that a leader can do is not being kind of not intelligent. No, it's not about intelligence. It's a leader whose decisions are secretly being sharpened by what? Unresolved wounds. Your decision quality is based on unresolved wounds. The employer reminds them, or the employee reminds them of somebody who betrayed them. And guess what? That is impacting on your decision capacity. That will impact on the whole productivity of the company. The disagreement feels like disrespect. You are in a board meeting, people are trying to disagree with you, and for you, you interpret that as disrespect. And sometimes feedback, people will be trying to give you feedback. You start interpreting it like, guess what? Rejection. Oh, they don't want your opinion. And guess what? Competition feels, you start taking things personal. People are trying to do things, and guess what? A business disagreement, you start being very angry because people are disagreeing with you on business terms. And guess what? This will impact on your strategic decisions. You start making decisions based on what? Your emotional history, instead of making decisions based on the facts. Guess what? Now, instead of working from what is required now, you are going to be working from what happened. And guess what? When you are working from what is required now, for me, that is leadership. You can disagree without being disagreeable. You can confront without being consumed. I mean, you can talk to people and you don't have to be consumed by what they say, because guess what? We are different and people will see things always differently. You can walk away without spending the next decade looking back. Oh, they did this to me. And guess what? People will always feel different. Any team, any business organization, they want to trust people that are emotionally predictable. People want to move in businesses, will move faster. Guess what? When you try to address things that have happened in the past, and guess what? Close those files. Close those files. Your power increases when people discover that this is how you work. You cannot easily provoke. The people know that they cannot just provoke you by disagreeing with your point. And guess what? I love to talk about the spiritual fact. And this is the most important part of me, because guess what? Spiritual economics of how forgiveness exists. There is a serious spiritual dimension, because the scripture, the Bible repeatedly talks about forgiveness, talking about forgiveness with freedom. In fact, the Bible says forgive, so that just as your sins are forgiven, forgive. It's like a command. It's also something that it takes you out of that business, out of that resentment. And if you look at what Paul was writing to the church in Ephesians, it talks about put away all bitterness, put wrath, put malice, and guess what? Embrace forgiveness. For me, this is something that you need to really consider if you want to move forward in your personal life, in your business life, in any area of your life. Because guess what? Life is short. Life is short. If this was your last day, how are you going to live it? Are you going to live your last day in resentment? They did this to you. And so what? Move away from that. And that's why Proverbs, the book of Proverbs, Solomon, the most wisest person who ever lived, he says, guard your heart, for everything flows from your heart. Guard your heart. Think about the economic of that statement. Guard your heart. If everything flows from your heart, then what occupies your heart affects everything downstream. If everything flows from your heart, then what occupies your heart affects everything downstream. It affects your leadership, it affects your relationship, it affects your perception, it affects your decisions, it affects your creativity, it affects your future. And I don't know about you, begin to think about it. I want you to begin to think about the things that you're still holding on to, the things that hurt, that betrayal, that lie, that credit that they took instead of you taking the credit for the work that you did. I want you to begin to think about it. What is bringing resentment to you this day? What is bringing unforgiveness to you this day? And you begin to look at it and say, my future is too valuable. Your future is too valuable to give permanent emotional capacity to someone who hurt me. I mean, I say I forgive. I redraw the boundaries. I change the rules of operation. I change the boundaries. But guess what? Forgiveness I will do any day. Why? Because I need to move forward. And the last point I want us to look at is, here is your forgiveness assignment. Ask yourself 4 questions. And question number 1, or what still occupies my emotional space and it's not paying rent? What is in your emotional space that is not paying rent? What is there? What is that unforgiveness that is there, not paying rent? How much attention? And question number 2, how much attention have I spent replaying something that I cannot change? You can't change it, but you keep replaying it. Question number 3, what boundary or lesson do I need to keep even after releasing the resentment? Yes, you might need to redraw your boundaries. You might need to look at how do you relate with this person. And finally, if I recovered that emotional capital today, where would I invest it? Look forward. Look, maybe you want to invest in your business, in your health, in your marriage, your calling, your children, your creativity, your spiritual life, your next opportunity. Because guess what? Forgiveness is not simply about releasing someone else. Forgiveness is about repurposing yourself, repurposing your energy. And for me, as we begin to wrap up today, there are people carrying yesterday's disappointment permanently, as if you have to put it on your balance sheet today. No, close that account. And guess what? When you close that account, keep the wisdom, keep the lesson, keep the new boundaries, keep the lessons, but release the person, release that poison, release that thing that is holding you emotionally. Your future needs that capital. Your future needs that emotional bandwidth. Your assignment requires it. And the next version of you cannot continue to finance transactions of years ago. Forgive. Reclaim your capital today and invest it in the future that God is calling you to build. This has been the Firelight Advantage. I hope this has been useful to you. To really look at your life, join our community, like, share this video, and I will see you again in the next video.